Good morning and welcome to Talking Real Estate, the Champions Real Estate team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. I appreciate you joining us. My name is Mark Wehner II here with Champions Real Estate team leader. And joining me is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. So every Wednesday we jump on, just kind of give you an update of what's going on in the real estate. And my year and a half old wants to say hi, so she's down here with me as well. So doing a little double duty here. But anyways, I just want to touch base with what's going on. So let me pull up here. There we go. Sorry about this. But what we'll talk about today is kind of what we're seeing in the real estate market, and exactly what is going on in the market with regards to the activity that we're seeing, number of homes on the market, in regards to all that. So let me share here, get out of there. Technical difficulties. All right, so this pops up, jumping into the kind of the street view of what's going on in the Omaha real estate market. So we had 488 new live listings go active last week. We had 366 new contracts written and 503 happy new homeowners. So those numbers are down just a little bit from the weeks previous. We were kind of up in the 500 range, and then our new contracts are steady. I think we were just at like 370 as of last week, and sold homes about the same in that regard. So I mean, what we're kind of seeing is you're kind of seeing that vacation mode, back to school mode, which is very typical of the market. This will be my 14th year in real estate, been around it all my life as a fourth generation realtor. So we're kind of getting back to a normal market, which we're still in a seller's market. But, we're seeing less, showing activity on homes, seeing, home inspections getting back into the mix in within offers and things of that sort. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's jump in, kind of look at the 30,000 foot view here. So as this pops up, for make it a little bit bigger. So we got 2,100 homes actively on the market. So that's the most we've had in a long time. Last week, we're just over the 2,000 mark. We have 1,136 active listings in the Douglas and Sarpy County, so more of that Omaha metro area. And then 610 existing homes. I remember a couple months ago, and it was basically, we were happy to get to 300. So we kind of doubled our market, almost tripled of our existing inventory over the last couple of months. And then we have 526 new construction homes, 1.3 months supply of inventory, and about 316 on the average sold price. So as we kind of get back to what we were kind of touching on earlier, is that we're kind of back to a normal market. I think Russ is kind of seeing the same thing kind of on the lender side. We're almost back to normal interest rates, where it's more of a healthy aspect of it, where we're not just kind of giving the money away, and so all those things play into chords. I know we just had a mastermind meeting where a group of agents at Berkshire, we meet once a month, talking about the market and inventory, just showing activity over the, where we used to have 15, 20, 30 showings, we're down to single digits, and those are still those active buyers that are looking for those homes. What do you got? So, but yeah, we're back to those active, the normal activity, which, it's going to take some adjustment for people to understand what was normal, where we weren't having these crazy showings. But it just means that as using an experienced agent of making sure that house is ready to go on the market, and from a buyer's perspective, knowing how to structure an offer that you're not going to give away everything in the kitchen sink just to get the house, because that's what a lot of agents had been doing previously. Of no inspection, we'll pay an appraisal gap, we'll pay the seller's costs. Sometimes now maybe the seller will pay some of the buyer's closing costs. So some of those things that some agents that maybe just gotten in the market, got their license in the last couple of years, have never had to, even heard of that kind of stuff. So those are those things that, working with us here at Champions Real Estate team, with an experienced team of what we know what's going on. We've gone through a couple of cycles. I got my license in 2008. So right in the housing bubble, when that bubble burst, with regards to that. So I still think it's a great time to actively, be looking and buying homes, because I don't see necessarily, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't see, prices necessarily coming down too much. I still think there's going to be, an appreciation. Hi, honey. There's going to be an appreciation out there, maybe just not the double digit craziness that we've been seeing the last couple of years. And maybe we might kind of level off a little bit. But I think, that's still a great time to buy. moving forward, even selling a house, because all those prices that we've had have kind of been built in, would have run up that market, with those multiple offers and kind of, getting $50,000 above listing price and stuff like that, and them appraising and things like that. So, but yeah, so I mean, that's kind of just a general gist of what we're seeing. If you want more in depth, give me a holler. Happy to chat. I can talk about this stuff, all afternoon if we had time, but I don't want to take up, too much of everybody's time. Just get a short video here. But guess, Russ, how are things going in your neck of the woods, in the mortgage side of it?
Mortgage rates are holding relatively stable over the last week. We did see a little bit of improvement off of their worst levels of the year. That happened maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And we, of course, have a big week coming next week. The Federal Reserve Bank is meeting every 6 weeks. They meet in their open market committee meetings. And it's an assurance at this moment that they'll raise short-term rates, credit cards, student loans, auto loans, the rates that affect those things by 0.75%. Some people think might be a 1-point bump, but the Fed has kind of telegraphed, nope, it's going to be 0.75. And contrary to what you might think, Mark, sometimes when that short-term rate is raised, of course, the intent of the impact is to try to slow down inflation, which we all know inflation is hitting us hard. But what that also can do is it can bolster bond prices, which can actually bring mortgage rates down a little bit. Or we're going to see rates drop back into the 4s, maybe not, but they do stay fairly stable. What it also quite likely could do, just the extent to which the Fed is raising rates, is push us into a recession if we're not already in one. We won't know if we're in a recession until probably September, when they come out with the second quarter numbers. The importance here is some folks think that in a recession that house prices will soften. Keep in mind, in Nebraska, over the last 60 years, home prices have been rising between 3% and 4% on average per year. So this 10-15% jump that you just mentioned, Mark, that was an anomaly from the last couple of years. If we return to a more balanced market, we might see 3%, 5%, 6% appreciation over the next year. But if we look back at recessions historically, we have not seen home values drop. The only exception to that is 2006, 7, and 8, when it was the lending market, the lenders that made the economy of the world crash. So if you look at recessions historically in the United States, home values have been stable or increasing during those periods of time. This is still a great time to buy, folks. We talked about it last week, Mark. Marry the house and date the rate. If rates do drop, as I think there's a chance that they will later in the year and into next year, you can always refinance, but you're not having to pay that 3%, 4%, 5% more for a house next year that you can buy today for lesser. So inventories, you mentioned it earlier, Mark. When we go into the fall, summer and fall, we see inventories rise. If you take a look historically, inventories rise as we go into the second and third quarters of the year. Every year they do that. So these inventories rising is not a cause for concern right now. And returning to a balanced market, this is actually a benefit for you as a buyer. So get out there and buy homes.
There it is. Yep. I mean, I agree. I think, yeah, these are very historical cycles that we're going through. I don't think it's to hit the panic button or anything to that sort. I think that, those that are selling their houses now just need to be realistic about the prices that they're doing, and the agency to be educational about what they're seeing and say, hey, these prices that in my market analysis, if they're using 3 to 4, back sales that were sold 3 or 4 months ago, those were when they're getting multiple offers and the prices were getting, really high. So those sellers now are taking advantage of those increase in those prices. Yeah, you want your ball. But yeah, so they've already taken account of that. So looking at it and going, well, I want to price it, if I'm, if we're telling a client, hey, $300,000, well, let's try to go up to 315 so we have room to negotiate. Well, that 300 is basically what we're kind of saying is going to be that negotiation mark, because you've already built in, maybe it would have been 285 at the beginning of the year. Now you're at 300, and to jump up another 15,000, is sometimes being a little bit greedy. And the buyers out there are very, what do I want to say? They're very educated, and they know what 300 gets them, and they know what 250 or 315 gets them. And so when you're trying to, kind of throw one over on them, they're going to say no, and they won't even write an offer. They'll wait a week for you to reduce it, or they'll make the offer, where it probably should be, and know that, in a week or two, you might reduce the price. And then that seller may come back to you and say, hey, we'll sell it to you for, $290. or something like that. So it kind of makes sense in that regards to understand how and everything that what's going on in the marketplace, so that you get a big picture. And, us here at Champions Real Estate Team have gone through a couple cycles, of a market like this. And you need to have those agents that understand what's going on and how to price it in there, and to basically ultimately guide you and coach you and educate you through that process, rather than say, yeah, let's list it at 315, and the market sits out there, and the next thing you know, you may get less, because you're going to reduce it, and then it's going to, they may come back in later, as we're going into, school and everything that it typically does. When are you going to say hi? Say hi. She kind of comes in and out. Yeah.
Historically, selling price, which is the price that is accepted between buyer and seller, has not been as great as asking price. It just so happens that for the last year or two, because of this imbalance in supply and demand, that we have been seeing homes selling for at or above listing price. But historically, that's not the case. And we've just been in a different market for the last couple of years. We're returning more of a balanced market. Still a great time to sell, still a great time to buy. As Mark mentioned, you're taking advantage as a seller. You're taking advantage of those nice high prices that sellers have been able to get for a few years. So take advantage of those. If you're a buyer, you might, if you're a buyer, you might be able to take advantage of getting maybe that home inspection, maybe getting a little bit of help from the seller. This is a good time to buy and sell.
Yeah, and the thing that you kind of piggybacking what you were just saying is, up until the last couple of years, the average, percent was 97% of list price was the average sold price. So
That's
if you
correct.
were listing a house for $100,000, the average sold price was 97% of the listing price. And so that was a $97,000 sold price. That was average. So, if you're at 200,000, that's, 190, was at 194, so it just goes up. So 190 on a $200,000 house, between that 190, 195 was average. It wasn't 205, 210, where the last 2 years, it was 101% of the sell price. So like you said, when we get back to a normal market, sellers need to be educated, buyers need to be educated, and agents need to be educated that haven't been through that process before. If you are, listing it higher, and an experienced agent comes in and gives you a lower price, well, this is a seller's market. Well, yeah, it is, but here's historically what's been going on. And ultimately, the buyers determine the market. It goes back to a supply and demand aspect of it too. So, but yeah, we're happy to sit down and talk with anybody individually. If you have questions, comments, give us a holler on any of our live streams, and we will touch base, with you, and we're happy to help you. If you have any lender questions, give Russ a holler at 402-290-8936. And feel free to reach out to me any way, shape, or form, social media, call, text, email, 426-772-7670. So appreciate it. And we will see everybody next week. And you have anything else you got to touch on?
This was a good one.